and it was a terrific success on the day. And at the very end of the day, Joe McGrath from the VRC grabbed me by the arm and said, "Rob, we never ever take the Melbourne Cup to a provincial town twice, but if you give me a bit of a nod in about a year or two, we might bring it back to Noosa." So they had a great time. So thank you everyone for coming today for the second time. If I can acknowledge the VRC representatives, including the Melbourne Cup winning jockey Wayne Harris, and also the legendary racing rider Tony Burke, who I'm reliably told is known as King. Is that right, Johnny? Yes, King.
He made that up himself.
Oh, I'm sure he did. And our friends from Emirates Airlines, thank you for coming up. And I also would like to acknowledge that we've got Mr. Stephen Gregg from the Chairman of Events and Tourism Queensland. He was here, is he? Where has he gone? There you are. Thanks, Stephen. Thanks for coming up today. We've also got my fellow directors here for Integrated Animal Health. We're using today as both having the cup up here, and we're launching our company, Integrated Animal Health, officially today at this function. One of the shareholders in our company is Dr. John Walker, who's sitting over at the table in a nice pink shirt, and the association there is John is probably the preeminent racing veterinarian in the Southern Hemisphere, and I'm reliably told by John that he vets up to half of the horses at the Magic Millions and also the English sales each year. So great kudos to having John here. John has also been a Melbourne Cup winning vet, and he has been a twice winner with Mackay Diva, which you will all know and remember, and also Media Puzzle that was brought out from Europe, from England. Is that right? Media Puzzle? There's several synergies today at play here that you're all here to celebrate. We've got one of the most coveted trophies in racing, if not the sporting world. Of course, Emirates Airline has long been associated with the Melbourne Cup, and I and my family have long been associated with the Melbourne Cup. I think I went to my first Melbourne Cup at the age of 9. We started 11 years ago in 2003. My wife Lisa and I began making a horse feed from our property in the Yarra Valley, and we would make one bag of horse feed in about every 10 minutes or so. I'd put them aside, mix them up, put them aside, leave them there, and Lisa would come out and hand stitch every bag closed. We were only selling them to our friends, and then within not too long, as with all great companies, and Emirates is another one that's taken about 10 or 11 years to get to this stage as well. Within 2 or 3 years we were selling one bag every 15 seconds. So it moved quite quickly from one bag every 10 minutes to one bag every 15 seconds around Australia. The genesis, of course, for our company was roll up your sleeves and get amongst it. So it's quite proud of us to sit here 11 years on and to actually launch what is now Integrated Animal Health. As with any good product, whether it be a horse feed or an airline, it didn't take long to get noticed and for the orders to start flowing in. But from 2007, we moved from Yarra Valley up to Noosa, leaving our factory and under management in Victoria. In 2010, we didn't know it at the time, but a single email from Mr. Harry Rosen, a man who I've asked to speak here today, was the next step of taking our company from the beginnings of in a stable in the Yarra Valley to now operating in 11 countries around the world. And we are about to launch in the massive markets of the US and the EU. What's propelled our company? It's simple. It's just collaborations and working with people, like working with the VRC, working with the terrific people of Noosa, and working with characters like John Walker, who's come on board with us. We picked up lots and lots of passengers and characters along the way, and Johnny was a pretty integral part of us developing the company. He used to sit at the Magic Millions with me, which Magic Millions, for those that don't know, is one of the premier horse sales in the country. It happens every January, and Johnny would sit down there. I was telling him about this TPM technology that we were using, and Johnny would sit there and tell me why it didn't work. He used to say, this stuff doesn't work. He actually said something else, but I put stuff in replacement. Anyway, what happened was after a year or two of that, I got sick of it. I said, well, Johnny, why don't you run a trial yourself? And he did, and the trial worked spectacularly, and he's now come in and become a major shareholder in our company. It was listening to Johnny that I realised that to commercialise the TPM technology, we needed to work with other big companies. Commercialising a technology like TPM, which is a wonderful new technology that Harry will talk about later, requires, you need to distinguish between R&D and innovation. Where R&D turns money into knowledge, innovation is the process of creating business out of this knowledge. And I haven't got far to go, so I'll just whiz through this last bit for you guys. We're now collaborating with many companies around the world, and we've got one here today. We've got Riverina Australia, and two of the executives have come up from Brisbane. Thank you guys for coming up. We're working on live weight gain with Riverina. We're also currently now working with a company called Alltech, and this is all from, we run this company out of Noosa, but we are working with a company. Alltech has a $1 billion turnover. We're also working with Royal DSM, a massive company with 25,000 employees and a turnover of $20 billion. And while I'm on it, I'd also like to acknowledge a great Australian company that's going in leaps and bounds in SmartVet, who and Mr. Grant Weyer, who has helped us tremendously in the US. Thank you, Grant. In finishing, I've just got two things I would like to acknowledge our shareholders. About this time last year, we decided that we needed to actually commercialise the licences that we held from Phosphogenics, and Harry Rosen is the CEO of Phosphogenics, and we put together a group of guys that fundamentally are all Noosa. Just in finishing, so I just wanted to give you an anecdote that leads on to the Melbourne Cup. We start with Melbourne Cup and we're going to finish with it. When we're developing things in the animal health world, sometimes innovation just pops out where you least expect it. We've done 9 trials with Harry's company over the last 4 years, and they're very, very expensive. I used to have very, clear dark hair before I met Harry. It's now greying. I'm far poorer for it, but very, very happy to call Harry a friend now after 4 years of work. But a year or so ago, I was sitting with a Melbourne Cup winning trainer in Singapore. To me, that vitamin E opens up the blood vessels after you take it, so it allows blood to flow around. And I said, well, that's interesting, because we did a trial with Phosphogenics recently, and we saw that we could increase the size of the blood vessels in 4 hours through this rat trial that we ran. I came back to Australia, started to use the information that we had from that rat trial, and created a horse supplement. In Singapore, it's cutthroat racing up there. You can win the Trainers' Premiership by 1 horse. Sometimes they have countbacks to see who wins the premiership. I wondered where a lot of our vitamin E supplements were going this year, and I was unaware. But I looked at where he was. He is 9 horses, I think, in front in the Trainers' Premiership in Singapore at the moment. Thank you all for coming, and I'm going to hand back over to Mark, and I hope you have a wonderful afternoon. Thank you.